So the title of this video will be something like on manliness, and what we're going to talk about here is manliness, manhood, and what does this all mean? And I'll talk about my grandfather, and then I'll talk about um the implications with like the Manosphere and all this kind of stuff. So my grandfather was a great man. I would say he was a great man. Like there were not like beyond. There are a lot of good men out there. I want to say my grandfather was a great man. He had suffered from strokes whenever I was around 16 years old, and was basically never the same again. I never saw the same man that I did whenever I was before I turned 16. I never saw that same man, all the way up until he passed in 2019. So that was a little bit, frustrating because he was probably the most positive masculine role model that I could have had. He was smart. He was capable, and he liked to impart a lot of wisdom upon me. He showed me a lot of different things. He's how I learned about like the stock market, interest rates, all this kind of stuff, like financial stuff that I was really keen on and I was interested in. He really helped me learn some of that stuff. He liked to play chess with me. There was a lot of great things, but then after his strokes, whenever I was 16 years old, he lost a lot of the capability, and I couldn't really bear to see him that way very often. So it's really sad. I do miss him, but that's just how it was. But he was a great man. And you may not believe in the faith or whatever, but he he was a very strong Christian man who did everything he could. He was doing everything he could to try to make sure that all of us in our family were taken care of. He did everything. He loved us. He always wanted to see us succeed and wanted the best for all of us. And I think that's part of what makes this manly man. Like he knew that we depended upon him, and he wanted to do what he could to be there and to help. He was always there at every one of my baseball games. He was always there whenever he could. To my basketball games. Pretty much he was there all the time. And that's huge to like when you're growing up and you're a kid. Like those kind of things are huge. Like he had a huge impact. And I say that to say this, talking about, I should talk about this too. He also, one of the big things that he made us do was he made us memorize poems, and the main poem, like I did a few of them. He would put like $25 in our bank account if we completely memorized it and was able to recite it perfectly or basically perfectly. He would put $25 in our bank account because he was trying to incentivize us to do that. And that's he got the incentives right. I wanted some play money for stuff, and so then he put it in my bank account, and so um one of the most impactful poems. And if you haven't ever read this poem, I highly recommend you go read it right now. It's "If" by Rudyard Kipling, and he made us memorize this poem, and it's probably the biggest embodiment of manliness that you could possibly imagine. And it's something that I keep close to my heart and keep close on my mind all the time. And it goes something like this: if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies. If you can wait, if you can, I don't know. I have to go back and memorize it, but essentially that's the gist of it. And then in the end of it, it says, basically, if you can do all this, you will be a man, my son. And that stuck with me. That was part of what it meant to be a man. And Romanian TV, who I have to give credit for this, one of the things that he says in his videos, or whenever he's brought it up, I don't know if it's just in videos or live streams, but he talks about like to be what is it to be a man? Like because he was saying, well, a lot of people ask what is it to be a woman, and there's a lot of different answers. But I started thinking about what is it to be a man, and it's to have other people who have to rely on you. That's what it means to be a man, is have other people who rely on you, who depend upon you. And he couldn't be more correct that in that way. And that's something that I think is very important. You have to have the people who rely on you, and you have to do what your level best to take care of them. And I feel like I'm trying to do that as a dad and as a husband and a dad, a father to two kids. I'm trying to embody that. I'm trying to do that, and I'm trying to emulate whatever I can. And a lot of what I emulate is based on my grandfather, and to some degree my father. And although I don't, sometimes that's negative depending on the circumstance. Me and my father are both a little bit more hot headed, and it's hard to keep it cool, especially whenever a 4-year old is acting up and doesn't do what you say and just wants to try to spite you, in any way. And that's the struggle of being a man, and especially in the modern world. If you don't understand the struggles of the modern man, then I don't know. Maybe I need to write a book about it. Maybe I need to explain it in simple terms for everyone. That men are discardable widgets to be taken, used, and discarded at whim in modern society. No one cares, and it's not that men don't need like reassurance or whatever. We don't need to be validated like women do. Like women need that kind of stuff a lot of times. I need to be validated, and so maybe sometimes you say the women don't need to be validated. Like if they're saying, oh yeah, I'm 300 pounds, you should validate my that I should stay 300 pounds. Okay, maybe not validate that, but men just don't need this sort of like coddling of like, like hey Johnny, you're doing great job. Men don't necessarily need that. Men need to know that people care, that whatever they're doing at the end of the day has some sort of value attached to the end of it. And that's all that men want. That's all men want is to know at the end of this, did something come of it? Was there some positive impact? That's all that men really care about, is did me doing this do anything to keep the ball spinning, or do what kind of impact am I having? And that's what a lot of men value. And in the modern society, which just trods upon every single man, and women are, especially women nowadays, are really concerned about this sort of overcorrection. They're thinking, oh well, now it's tipped to favor in too much favor of the women, because so now men are gonna lash out, and there's gonna be this whole thing and all this kind of, it's gonna be Handmaid's Tale, and that's sort of the fear, right? The fear is that it's going to be Handmaid's Tale, and they're going to lash out, and the men are going to be all bad. Really, men are not wired like this. Men are not wired like women to unless they have poor emotional and mental regulation. A well regulated man will be capable of controlling all of everything. And that's why men a lot of times they bottle stuff in, because we can hold a lot, we can deal with a lot, we can put up with a lot. But there's a certain point where if people keep testing us and try to push that breaking point, there's a lot of men who then have they've had enough, and they've been pushed on that breaking point, and no one's cared, no one's done anything. And it's not necessarily that men in modern era need to be like reassured or whatever. What they need, and this goes to sort of the Manosphere stuff, they need something. They need a plan to to get them where they want to be. And although much of the Manosphere stuff is a grift, these are betas, not really alphas, whatever, what have you, right? Like, I don't really care about the whole alpha male thing, or whatever. I don't really much care about, like, oh yeah, man, I slog 10 raw eggs a day, whatever. I don't much care about all this kind of stuff. It's not. It's all performative in the end. A lot of times, but I do think that men are looking for something, and in the modern era, there's not these kind of male figures that are positive for them. Like I would say I had with my grandfather, where everyone they turn to is either telling them to be like complete, to basically be a male feminist, or to act like a male feminist. Because even the right wing types will basically tell men to, like, the jokes, the jokes are no longer funny. And that's what men are getting fed up, is the jokes are no longer funny, about, like, hey, oh, the dumb dad, the Homer Simpson dad, the oh, that man, he's gonna be in the doghouse with his wife. All this kind of stuff. Like, none of the jokes are funny. None of these performative, silly jokes that you think it's funny that the wife beats the husband. He has bruises. All this kind of stuff. It's not funny anymore. None of it's funny. None of it's cool. It's not cool that women are abused, emotionally and physically abusive toward men, and whether or not that they're. I don't care about the scale or percentages. The fact that it happens, in any regard, is ridiculous, and it's something that is showing that, all these women, they don't they're never gonna be tried for it. Like, there are plenty of women who hit their husbands, and the man will never do anything about it, because he knows that no one cares, no one will listen. And this is the problem with modern men, is like, a lot of the modern men just feel like no one cares and no one will listen. And I talked about that in my sort of like my medical thing, that where I was talking about my issue. It's like, no one cares and no one listens to you as a man, because, like, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to shut up, do your thing, go on. Like, no, you're not supposed to you're not supposed to have legitimate complaints. You're not supposed to have any issue that you want to bring to the table that you actually want solved, because that would be, toxic masculinity. That would be, this sort of misogyny or whatever, to want men's problems fixed before women's, or whatever. And oh well, now it's tipping too much in the favor. We're talking too much about men's issues, so now we need to talk about women's issues again. And I'm just done with all of that sort of discussion. We're not going to have that discussion anymore, and we just need to go forward trying to make sure that, men are being shown a positively structured, good, uh, vision for the future, and what they should strive for. And you can call that whatever, beta, grifting, whatever you want, but, and some of the people doing it may be beta, may be grifters. That may be true, but men wanting to see other men improve, wanting to see themselves improve, that should not be seen as something bad for society. It should be seen as a positive. We should see masculine improvement as a positive in society, and until we actually do that, until we actually see it for what it is, and actually want men to do better, and be better and improve, then we're going to continue having the problems. And as long as you continually look at it through a feminist frame of saying women's problems, or now it's going to tip in the favor of men, so now we have to talk about women again. We don't need this whole either or. We need to just say men need to act like men, women need to act like women. This needs to happen, and all these. And I don't know. This video may, because I'm saying these kind of things, this video may get dinged by YouTube for some reason. But this is what it needs to be, is we need to have men who start acting like men, women who start acting like women in a positive way, not this sort of fake guru masculine masculine guru. Oh yeah, I slog 12 eggs today. I work out at the gym 3 times a day. Blah, 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 whatever it is, like whatever masculine thing. That none of that. The Hooters masculinity, all that goofy kind of stuff. None of that matters. Men acting positively, men being men in a positive manner, and women being women in a positive manner. Once we get that right, then all the other stuff will fall into line. All of that other stuff will fall in line. And I mean, there are other things that need to happen as well, but I don't won't necessarily go into those in this video. But that's just what it is. We you know this manliness discussion is it's a stupid discussion designed to make you argue over something that you know is the truth and you know is right and you know what should be done, but you don't want to have this discussion because it might be a little bit uncomfortable for a lot of people. um it might be uncomfortable discussion for a lot of women who don't understand that maybe they shouldn't. Maybe there needs to be a change in behavior by some of the women, and they don't want to do that. So and maybe some of the men need to change their behavior, and they don't want to have that discussion either. So it's a sort of a moot point. Like we're going to do this whole back and forth if we want to discuss it in this manner. And that's just what I have to say about it. Like we need to get to a point where we can actually have a serious discussion about this and to have the correct discussion and do the right thing. So as far as men acting like men, women acting like women in a positive manner. But I don't know if that'll happen anytime soon. And I guess we'll see what the future holds. And I'm gonna. In the meantime, I'm just gonna be trying to do my best to show my sons how to become men. And if I make mistakes on the way, that's on me. I've made that mistake, and I know that I've already messed up uh, before. But I want to do my best by them, and I want them to have a positive view of being a man. And I don't want them to see it as the way that I've been basically framed to see it. The way that society has tried to enforce upon me. So that's all I have for this video. If you enjoyed this discussion, please hit like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, check out all the links in the description for anything else that I do. And follow me on Twitter and keep up with me there if you want to. That's all I have. This is Trey from Trey's Think Tank, signing out.